Finding a Face by Doris Charest. Now what I've done here is dripped paint all over. I'm going to try and find a portrait in here. So I'm using a purple chalk and I'm just going to draw it and see if I can fit a face in there. And if it works, what I'm going to do is add features and have the background design and the features all blend in together. So here's the oval of the head. I have eyes, I have a bit of a nose, and here's the mouth is coming in here, just right there. And if I try as much as I can to leave those designs in there, it'll look awesome. In fact, it'll make me really happy because it'll look great. So I'm just going to redraw with a pencil and make it a little better than what I had there. And the beauty of chalk, the chalk that I used, is it's so easy to erase. I just have to rub my fingers on it and it's gone. It's totally awesome. It's a great way to paint, or start a painting, I should say. So just going back in there and adding a bit of the basic lines for the face. So I've decided I don't want that. I'm just going to use the chalk to outline the hair I might put in and add a bit of more bounce up for the hair, the neck. That'll be a shadow. I'm just identifying areas that I want to have. And see how easy I can smudge those? Well, they're just as easy to take off. If you want to take off the chalk, just take a wet Kleenex and wipe it off, or a wet cloth. Here I've just added the ear a bit. Now I've finished blocking in the basic shapes. I'm going to start adding a bit of paint. So I'm going for this one, what I'm going to do is stick to the purple, gray, black, white colors. So I'm going to just work with the colors that I have there. This is called a monochrome palette, and you're going to find it's very easy and easier when you're first starting a portrait to work with only a monochrome palette. It's a limited palette. There are different words for it. So that means you're sticking to a few colors. You're not going to introduce pinks in there. You're not going to introduce some maybe green in there. You're going to stick to the purple, gray, and black and white. And you're going to find that it's going to be lovely. So I'm blocking in with paint right now. I'm not making any details just yet. I'm just retracing some of my drawing, and I'm just outlining more of the face or the shape of the face, and I'm just trying to keep it loose. When you make your first details, you don't want to. What you want to do is to add a little bit at a time. If it's in the right place, then you're good. And if it's not in the right place, then you get to change it. And it's easy to change. Whereas if I had this strong black line instead of a light gray one, it'd be a real challenge. So here it is. Now I've completed the face. It's dry. I can work a lot easier. And I add in the eye details. I just shaded in the lips. But what I want to do is stay within the same color range, so you get to see the same thing all over again, but with the purple. So I make the eyes purple because I've decided I want to keep this a monochrome painting. And a monochrome painting is a painting where you reuse the same colors over and over again. So I'm just adding a bit of shadow with the purple, and I'm adding a bit of a chin and just wash it in. And I'm going to let that dry eventually and then go back and redefine it. In fact, in all these portraits that I'm doing with you, what's happening is I show you the very basics And then usually I do more than those very basics. I go back in and I redefine all those areas. And that's the part where I'm not showing you. I'm showing you how to get the portrait started on these very interesting backgrounds. And I'm blending in the hair and I'm blending it. I want a soft touch. And this is the marks that I can see in the background. I want to repeat some of them and make it look like they're part of the hair. And I'm just adding those in. Now that looks really dark, and I don't want really dark, but I know that when this paint dries, it dries a lot lighter than it is. So I'm adding a few shadows here and there, reinforcing the eyes. Remember that the top lid is usually heavier than the bottom lid, and there's always a shadow like that on the bottom lid. Don't make it too dark. That first one was too dark. I add the nostrils. Remember, the nostrils are straight down from the inner eye. And then you can just soften the lines. Often that really helps. And I'm adding a line to the lips and softening it again. And I repeat this motion over and over again. And here I'm adding the highlight in the eye, the highlight in the lips. And I'm just going to add a few more little marks for the eyebrows, not the eyebrows, the eyelashes. Now that looks better. It looks more like what it should be, what it actually looks like in real life as far as eyelashes go. A really strong line. Now this is actually almost finished, because if I wanted to, I could keep going. I could add more detail, add eyeshadow, add more highlights. But I think the simplicity is best sometimes. Here's a bit of a highlight on the chin, because there usually is one. But if I put more detail in there, what'll happen is I'll eliminate some of that background detail that I want to show on the portrait. Sometimes you have to choose between detail of the face and showing these interesting backgrounds that go with the face. Remember, this is supposed to tell a story too. So if these marks in the painting are going around her face, that tells a story. They kind of cover part of the face, that's also a story. Here's that little shadow below the bottom lip. That's a little dark, so let's soften that. And that's pretty well done. See how easy that is if you have the right background. I'll probably keep adding a bit of detail here and a bit of detail there, reinforce the pattern in the background, but I kind of like it this way. I'm not sure I'm going to add very much more. I might change it wee bits, but not a lot. Just soft touches, little bit at a time. Now it's your turn. What I'd like you to do now is to splatter some paint on a canvas and try adding a portrait on top. See what happens. You can get some fantastic effects. See you in the next section.